This week I provided some self-care yoga sessions. So we met in person and did a workshop reflecting lots about what self-care is and if people practice good self-care. If you weren't able to make it to class, I wanted to recap a couple of points and give you something to think about. We started off by making our own lists of things that we love. So if you've read my other blog post, I have a list on my fridge of things that I love, and I often come back to that if I'm ever feeling down or tired or just not right, and I review it to see if I'm doing those things off the list. Am I making time for the things that I love? That's a wonderful example of self-care. So anybody who came to the workshop left with a list that they created of things that they love, and I hope they have it posted. I also went over a self-care quiz, a little check-in, so that people could reflect to see if they're practicing these self-care habits. And I'm not going to read them all to you, but I did highlight a couple. So one says, I take time to slow down and take care of myself when I'm sick. And I circled that because I wanted to talk about my own example. There was a time that I got sick with a sore throat and it just wouldn't go away. And it took me a really long time to go to the walk-in clinic because it felt like an inconvenience both to myself and to work if I had to take time off work or couldn't coach practice or do one of my other normal to-dos and had to prioritize myself and my health instead. Eventually I did get to the walk-in clinic, got medication, took the medication, but was still sick when I was done. And my thought was, well, I went to the doctor, like I certainly don't want to bother them by going back again. This is sort of the rut of thinking we can get into sometimes by not prioritizing ourselves and our own medical care. You know your body. If you are sick, look after yourself. Still a work in progress for me, so you could choose frequently, occasionally, rarely, or never. And I put occasionally for taking care of myself when I'm sick. That's something I can work on for sure. Another one was I make time to be with my thoughts and self-reflect. And I've become much more aware of this, but I talked about if you listen to the radio anytime you drive in the car, if you watch Netflix while you're making supper, if you never sort of give your brain time to unwind and think, that can really pile up because then when you're going to bed or you actually have moments of quiet, your brain wants to sort everything out. So become more aware of that and perhaps consciously give yourself time to think. Try turning off the radio in the car sometimes. Try sitting in a quiet space. Try eating supper and not having your phone nearby or be doing something else, but just focused on your supper and give yourself time to think. I personally normally shower every night before I go to bed, just part of my go to sleep routine. And it's during that shower that I give myself time to think, process, sort. So it's during those quiet minutes of what we might call boredom that your brain actually unpacks a whole bunch of information. It makes plans, it dreams, it sorts and organizes. So give it that time, because if you don't give and make time for it, it's going to take time and probably overwhelm you. I also circled I spend time with people who make me happy. If you think about your self-care, think about who you spend time with and how much time and energy they get. The people who make you the happiest should get the most time if you can control it. So that was a couple examples of our self-care quiz and reflection that we did. And then I also handed out 12 self-care tips for busy people. Same thing, I'm not going to read them all to you, but I did highlight a couple. I highlighted establish a morning self-care routine. If you've read my post about why morning meditation works for me, that's the perfect example of a self-care routine. I do it first thing in the morning to make sure that I make time to get it in. We don't often find times for self-care, we need to make it. So by meditating in the morning, I start my day in a positive way by already having accomplished something. So check out my blog post on morning meditation if you're looking for more information. I also circled schedule days off. I normally try to keep one day through the week that I don't have anything after work that I have to do. That way if something comes up like medical or something similar that I need to look after, I've got a day already empty that I can prioritize those things. Or I just really enjoy relaxing and hanging out with my pets or going for a walk and giving myself time to relax and unwind too. I also highlighted reflect on the 3 best things that happened today, a quick self-care tip for busy people. I do this during my morning meditation. I do guided meditations, and at the end, The person leading them often says, think about 3 things that you're grateful for. And focusing on gratitude rather than focusing on negativity can make a huge difference. If you think about it, we spend a lot of time focusing on the negative because we're trying to fix it or solve it. But if you think of that as a scale and you're always focused on the negative and solving it, the positive never really balances out. So recognize the positive and what you're grateful for too. Keep that balance, and suddenly the negative things don't seem like such a big deal. The last thing I had circled to focus on and share with you was crush simple tasks first. If you want good self-care and to feel accomplished, if you do a huge task, it might feel overwhelming and you're not going to feel successful. But if you do the little things, I always say if you can do it within a minute, just get it done and then it's out of the way. Or if you're feeling in a rut, starting just by making your bed. It seems small, but accomplish little things. So again, just wanted to share a couple of self-care tips with you if you didn't make it out to my class this week. Stay tuned for any upcoming workshops and maybe check out one of those. Thanks so much for joining.